Hello, Mr. Green. How's it going?
It's going good. This video, we're going to be talking about feminist tactics of gaslighting and lying and objectification, basically. And this is actually a very short YouTube video by a YouTuber. I don't even know her name. I saw this by accident. I watched it because it was only a minute long, and I was intrigued by the title. Right, I thought, are people going to be honest about female nature for once?
Yeah, exactly.
And when I watched it, I was sorely disappointed. The title says 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And it raises to 19 when. I thought, oh, is there going to be some honesty here?
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, there's no honesty. It's just typical feminist gaslighting and lies. And what feminists do, and they do this very well because they're pathological liars, they will make a false assumption and treat it like it's taken for granted. It's just naturally true, basically.
Yes.
Right, and they use that as a basis of the discourse, and they use it to gaslight and trick people because people get tricked by this nonsense all the time. Even people who are anti-feminists get tricked by this nonsense. But this video, as we review it, it's a lie. It's just a lie. So it's only a minute long. I say, first of all, we watch it all the way through without interruptions, and then we go through it again, bit by bit.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, we'll just play it right now.
Yes.
So according to the National Center for Health Statistics, 80% of divorces among straight couples in the States are initiated by women. Yes, and that number rises to 90% among college-educated women. You're correct. That's the opposite of what conservatives thought would happen when they liberalized divorce laws in the 60s. They thought that it would be men walking out of marriages, not women. Yes. So the societal message men receive about money, productivity, a great body, that doesn't lead to better relationships with women. No. When in fact studies have found that when men allow their wives to influence them and make the effort for an emotional connection, that leads to happier marriages and lower rates of divorce. You're correct. So if what makes a relationship successful and lasting is emotional labor, why does that responsibility fall on women? Because what?
Okay, that was pretty insulting.
Patriarchy, yeah, it says patriarchy hurts everyone, which is, there's actually loads of non sequiturs in that video, right? There's so many leaps of logic and assumption. There's so many fallacies in that video. It's unbelievable, basically.
Yeah. So we'll start off. Let me just stop it here, and you can read what she said. You know, her voice doesn't come out very well. You know.
Yes. So let's read it. So according to the National Center for Health Statistics, 80% of divorce among straight couples in the States are initiated by women. Of course. Yeah. And Barbarossa, who I actually don't like, but I'm going to quote him. He did a video about divorce rates in a third world country, and he showed the divorce actually correlated to an improvement for divorce laws for women. So when the women got a better cash out deal, they waited, and when they got a better cash out deal, then they stopped divorcing more.
Yeah.
So marriage is a bribe, right?
Yeah,
it's a bribe for women who don't like men, so they can pretend to like the men, and when they want to cash out, they'll cash out.
Yes. Basically.
So let's watch the video and reply to it because I can hear it. Okay.
Okay. So, let's try it. Well,
it's a better watching format.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'll play it, then I'll just stop it.
According to the National Center for Health Statistics, 80% of divorces among straight couples in the States are initiated by women. Yes. And that number...
Pause.
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
I just want to point something out. Feminists, a lot of feminists will deny this. So no, it's just men abandoning their wives. Or the ones who do admit it say, oh yeah, because the husbands beat their wives and mistreat them. Yeah. So the thing is, 80% of divorces can't be because of that. It's impossible because studies prove that most domestic violence is committed by women, period. Yes. So we can throw that excuse out the window. Women divorce because they don't like men.
Yeah, period. Yes, exactly.
You know, if women like men, you wouldn't need marriage bribery.
Yeah, that's what I keep pointing out. I said, if you had a good friend and he expects you to pay for everything when you showed up, you just say, people would say, hey, that's not your friend.
Yes.
Yet the girls will say, they'll gaslight you. You don't have to be a feminist. The girls will demand a date where you're paying stuff, and then they'll just say, oh, he's being nice to me. He's just being nice. Yes. He's not bribing me. He said, oh, really?
but then the woman will turn around and go, oh yeah, he is. Oh, he's just being nice to get into my pants. He's just buying me stuff to get in my pants. They'll turn it around at a whim if they want to.
Yeah.
If they want to attack the man. Oh, he's just pretending to be nice to me. You know, which is actually projection by the feminists.
Yes.
They a lot of time they'll pretend to be nice to a man to get what they want out of him. So let's carry on anyway.
Okay, well, she's got up to 90% among college-educated women. So, in other words,
90% divorces, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So once they get higher in status, then
the less men they need men, basically. They divorce them. Yes.
Yes.
And paradoxically, here's the thing as well. I think the women actually marry higher status men. The more status they get, so the more they get when they cash out. So even more incentive. So, for example, if a woman who's just married to a working class slob, or from her point of view, and she hasn't got much education and she hasn't got much prospects, it might be better from her point of view to stick with the workhorse provider than get a small cash out. But the guy's higher status, the woman might get a better cash out. So they're probably more inclined to divorce.
Yes.
She's probably got more options after divorce as well.
Exactly. And also a college-educated woman, let's say she's a professor, she probably has a decent lifestyle on her own anyway.
Yes.
You know. Okay, let's play some more.
90% among college-educated women. You're correct. That's the opposite of what conservatives thought would happen when they liberalized divorce laws in the 60s. They thought that it would be men walking out of marriages.
Yeah, that's true. They probably did think that.
Yeah, it's the conservatives that did liberalise divorce laws because they were scared. Women were threatened to abandon marriage, calling it oppressive, and the conservatives folded right away and changed the terms of marriage, made it even better for women. Yeah. And the thing is, they talk about marriage being oppressive, right? It was just lies by feminist women. The feminists knew they were lying at the time, but the conservatives still folded anyway, like they always do. Like affirmative action for women exists because of conservatives. They only passed the Civil Rights Act in the USA because it says you've got to include women in this or we're not going to support the bill. So,
well, the thing is why we keep jumping on the conservatives is simply because the left are obvious about their pandering. The conservatives are really obvious too to us, but a lot of people think they aren't. They pander every bit as much as they do in the left. You know, they just like the posture that they don't.
Yes.
Not woman. Yes. So the societal message men receive about money, productivity, a great body, that doesn't lead to better relationships with women.
Pause.
Yeah, stop it.
That's another secretary. Basically, she's talking about divorce. And she's using so-called feminist talking points about, oh, you don't need to have a good body, don't be insecure as a man. It's basically saying, oh, it's your fault being insecure by being a man. It's not societal messages. Men get messages about having to have higher status from women, or they get deselected.
That's right. Exactly. Yes. Look, every guy who's listening to us, what happens when you want to go Dutch on dates all the time? Eventually, the girls start calling you cheap. And then the woman goes and finds a man who does pay.
Let's even forget about going Dutch on dates. You won't get a date, period, unless you've got status. If you've got on your dating profile that you're unemployed, you won't get a date, period.
Yes, that's true.
As I was saying, this is a non sequitur. So she's talking about divorce rates, and she makes a massive leap in logic saying, so these societal messages men receive about money, productivity, and a great body, that doesn't lead to better relationships with women. That's a non sequitur on many different levels. There's so many different assumptions there, right? So she's talking about the divorce rates, and then she's jumping to the conclusion, oh, therefore, these messages that men get don't lead to a better relationship with women. It's a non sequitur. It doesn't make any sense. It's a sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if the girls actually liked men, you wouldn't see men so viciously make art the way they do.
Yes.
You know, if a guy's insecurity comes from the fact that men deep down know that the girls have to be bribed.
Yes.
And even then,
I think that's only 8% of it. I think the other 20% of it is like male on male hostility. They want to deny other men getting any anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
But anyway, I'm just trying to point out this is a non sequitur, right?
Yes.
It's massively, and it's nothing. What follows, what she says here doesn't follow from what she said before. In other words,
of course. The conclusion, the proper conclusion, is that the women initiate it because they don't want to be in marriage. That's it.
Yes.
Never did.
No. When in fact studies have found that when men allow their wives to influence them and make the effort for an emotional connection, that leads to happier marriages and lower rates of divorce.
Now she's just making the assumption that that wasn't the case in the past. That's horseshit.
Yes. First of all, I've got to see this study. I don't trust a feminist reading of a study like this. Okay, when did studies show that? So basically, it allowed the women to form an emotional connection. That doesn't make any sense. Men get into relationships to form an emotional connection. Men are not getting into relationships and go, "Don't form an emotional connection with me. Don't form that connection with me." That doesn't make one lick of fucking sense, right? So this is a load of fucking nonsense right here, and it's another non sequitur that doesn't follow from what's been said before. It's just a massive assumption and a leap in logic, right? And the reason why she does this, she's trying to force things into a feminist false framing. So those stupid, unemotional men who don't form emotional connections with women and don't allow women to form emotional connections, because there's millions of women out there begging to form an emotional connection with men. Right? They don't care about the man's body. They don't care about his looks. They're just begging to form an emotional connection. And these men are going, "No, I don't want an emotional connection." Come on, that's a load of fucking nonsense.
I'm sure they're trying to paint the picture of the idea of a man getting married to a woman strictly for baby making.
Yeah, which is a complete fuck, or for sex, or whatever the fucking reason is.
Yeah.
Men make all the sacrifices in marriage, period. All of them, period. Right? And unless you count the female's disgust for the man and think, "Oh, I've got to put up with him." You know? This is actually victim blaming as well. So it's very subtle, but it's victim blaming. It's all in the man's attitude. It's like, "Oh yeah, these women want an emotional connection with you. You just don't let them," which is complete fucking nonsense.
Yeah, you're just getting married for whatever. You're like, even the reasons I mentioned are past reasons that don't exist anymore. Men only get married with women for the connection, for the validation. That's the only reason they do. So if they don't connect with them, it's because these people, it's the women who don't want the connection. They're the ones who are the users. They get together with man under false pretenses, you know?
Yes. And I've got to point out as well, even if that wasn't the case, which it is, this is still a leap in logic. It's still, she's making a leap in logic that she's not proving or backing up, and she's treating it like it's a fact. So she's like using sleight of hand again.
Yeah. All right, let's carry on.
You're correct. So if what makes a relationship successful and lasting is emotional labor, why does that responsibility fall on women?
No,
First of all, there's two assumptions here. The fact that emotional labor is a valid concept, which I completely reject, and the assumption that emotional labor falls on women, right? The concept of emotional labor comes from psychopathic feminist women who are gaslighting and abusing men. So it's basically saying men do all the work, right? Men pay most of the taxes because they do most of the work. We've shown it before. We've shown the hours worked gap between single men and married men and single women and married women. It's basically this. Men get married to women, they end up working more, and the married women end up working less. Right?
Exactly.
And single men and single women actually work more equal hours. Right? So men are forced to work to earn the woman. Right? So this concept of emotional labor is feminist women go, "Fuck you, you do nothing. I have emotional labor putting up with you. I've got to pretend to care." And it's them actually making their social comedians, basically. Because if you like someone, right, whatever time you invest in them is not labor. Right? Women don't call caring for their cats emotional labor, do they?
No, or their dogs, or anyone they care about, or their girlfriends. They don't consider their girlfriends emotional labor. So it might actually be true. It might be emotional labor for them because they don't care about the man in the first place.
I don't accept the concept of emotional labor.
I know what I do, but you know what I mean.
Yes. Also, I don't first of all, even if it did exist, which it doesn't, she hasn't proven that it falls on women again. So she's also, there's a bit of contradiction here. So basically, marriages where the woman takes the lead and initiative, they work out better according to her. And then if she goes, oh, what does the emotional labor fall on women? Don't you see the contradiction there? It doesn't make any sense. So marriages will work out better if you let women take the emotional lead, which women don't do anyway, whatever that. And why does the burden of emotional labor fall on women? This doesn't make sense. It's another non sequitur.
Well, she's making assumption. Actually, it's not non sequitur. She's making assumption that
no, it's also an assumption and a non sequitur.
Yeah. Well, the assumption is that it's working out better because the women are the one putting the labor in, which is just untrue.
Yes. But it's also a non sequitur because it has nothing to do with the divorce rate. She doesn't prove it. She says basically when women make the emotional lead, take the emotional lead, marriages work out better. That's a non sequitur. That's not proven. And why? And then she goes, oh, why does the burden of emotional labor fall on women? When she implied that women taking the lead was good. Now suddenly it's bad, and therefore it leads to more divorce. Do you see how it doesn't make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Especially the 90%, because if it shouldn't be any different depending on whether the woman's educated or not. You know, if it was just if women held the lead and it was a better relationship, why does it increase when they're educated? You know, that's
and women do hold a lead in relationships. They set the terms, and the terms is men do the work.
Yes.
Yeah, and if the man's lucky, the woman might be good at pretending to care about him.
Yeah. Well, actually, I might say that emotional labor does exist for the man. Right. Because from what I've seen, all marriages, just dealing with the opposite sex myself, is that the guy goes home and wants to be in peace, and it's the woman that causes strife. You know, that's I've seen it universally. You know. Okay, let's see. I think that's all there is to this, isn't there?
Well, there's one bullshit at the end.
Okay.
Guess what?
Patriarchy hurts everyone. That's what it said
at the end. No, didn't say anything at that. Okay. So
no, it's no, go back. It's text. It's text. She didn't say it's text.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't. Oh, they're up there. Yeah, I see it now.
So, by the way, that's another non sequitur. There's two assumptions there. First of all, it's got something to do. First, the patriarchy, it doesn't exist. That's one assumption. And the thing of what she's talking about, it's got to do with the patriarchy, which is nonsense. So let's sum it up, right? That 8% of women divorce. The divorce rate goes higher when women get educated to 90%, and they're college educated. Okay. Relationships where women take the emotional lead tend to divorce less. They tend to do better, right? Yeah. Okay. But all the burdens of emotional labor fall on women unfairly, and because patriarchy hurts everyone. Okay, it doesn't make one bit of sense, any of it. Okay, the only bit that made sense at the start was the divorce rates, but then she doesn't lead to anything that it just leads to false feminist talking points. Basically.
Exactly, and of course, this kind of nonsense. She's got a huge channel by my standards. She almost had 250,000 subs. She gets all kinds of views. It's really depressing, you know.
Can I put this into perspective? When we call a small YouTube channel that's not relatively big. That's actually massive, right? Because the average magazine, a successful magazine, right, or back in the day, it would have a publication run of about 40,000. That was enough to be successful, right? So anyone who've caught the million, they're wildly successful. A magazine on the shelves would love to have a circulation like that. They would love it. So that is wildly successful. She's got a lot of influence.
Oh yeah,
and woman. Yeah.
So exactly. So did you want to take a look in the comments?
Let me look at some of the comments.
Yeah. Look, I'll scroll down.
Let's look at the first one. We might as well look at the first one. This is probably the most popular one. 12 days. So expand it. Let me read it.
Yeah, here, let me see if I can't get it bigger for you too. Yeah, try that.
I can read it, yeah. Since this is going over so many people's heads, basically the concept is in straight relationships, most of the emotional labor, work that a person's compelled but others to do to keep them happy. Okay, that's a massive assumption. In the relationship is put on women due to men being discouraged by society to show emotion. No. Fuck you. This is it. They do this, right? Okay. When they want to blame men, they'll blame men. They'll just say it outright. When women are to blame, they'll just say, "Oh, it's society doing it."
Yeah.
You see, that really pisses me the fuck off. Right. This is probably a key concept to why divorce rates are so high, as this imbalance of emotional labour can cause many of the main drivers of divorce: lack of commitment, growing apart, communication problems, etc. This is fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Fucking nonsense. This is gaslighting. There is no such thing as emotional labour. Any woman who believes in the concept of emotional labour is scum.
Yeah.
It's a barefaced, lying piece of scum who hates men. It's period. I know that sounds strong, but it's absolutely true.
But
Okay?
notice they make sure to protect the LGBT because it's straight relationships. So the idea is that if you're a bisexual man and you're with another man, does that mean you're not like other men? And
well, they're not talking about gay divorce, though, are they?
No.
So I don't think it's that. I don't think they're talking about that. They're talking about straight relationships and marriage and straight divorce. So that's the reason why they're talking about straight stuff. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next comment. Winnie D. There's also this guy speaks a bit of truth, but he doesn't really go into detail. It's very short. He's also gender neutral as well. There's also a societal norm that men must mask their emotions and are discouraged from having an emotional relationship with anyone. Okay, so if the women in these men's lives, let's say these men have got relationships and they're discouraged from having emotional relationships with anyone, right? Let's assume that's true. If a man was in a relationship with a woman and she wanted the man to show his emotions, he'll just show his emotions. So it's not society discouraging him, is it? It's women.
No, of course.
Yes.
The girls aren't interested in that.
I've dated women in the past, right? Very limited amount of dating. I've met women with similar problems to me, right? Emotional problems to me. They've opened up to me, okay? And because they're talking about something I can relate to, I've opened up to them back, and then they've lost interest. So they feel comfortable dumping on me. I said, "Oh no, I've got similar problems to you." They lose respect for me. It's happened so many times that first of all, I don't date women anymore because of this. But towards the end, before I stopped dating women completely, I just stopped showing my emotions and I actually did better in a lot of ways. Yeah. Right? Okay. Because it would take longer for the women to show contempt for me and drop me out. But it's men, when they show their emotions, they learn. If they show their emotions, they open up, they emote too much, it makes the women uncomfortable and they get deselected.
Yeah,
okay. So it's not society. So it's not society doing it. It's not, right? That's another blame shifting term. When women are responsible for something on a macro level in society, they always use gender neutral terms. Always. I find it cowardly and offensive. Yeah.
Okay, did you want to look at any more?
Yeah, let's look at this comment. Yeah, let's scroll up. This Christy Hamilton. This is this comment is a bit of a mess. It's a contradiction, and I'm going to explain the contradictions. Yeah. I actually love that you posted this because my thesis on the effect of divorce in the South, especially my home state of Alabama, which has the most liberal divorce laws in the country since the time of the statehood in the 80s, isn't that? Now here's the thing. Alabama's very right wing, right? It's a right wing state, and it's got the most liberal divorce laws, and it's got some of the worst child support laws as well. So the more right wing a place is, the more women worshipping it is actually. Yes. What I found so far is that in Alabama, divorce laws seem to be the way the state protected women before women's rights. So that's a contradiction. If divorce laws were there to protect women, but that means they did have rights. What? That doesn't make sense. Women could file for divorce for many reasons, whereas a man could only file for certain reasons. Women had more rights than men. Women could be granted remarriage, whereas many men who were abused at the time of early divorce were not granted the same rights. And I want to point out another thing. At what we know about female nature today, their false accusations, these divorces because of abuse were probably false accusations as well, at least 90% of the time.
Absolutely. Okay?
Yeah. Women could be granted remarriage as well, men couldn't. I know that this isn't what you're talking about, but the divorce laws in the Old South were considered backward, racist, and uneducated, were more progressive than any other state when it came to divorcing women. I just wanted to share that. So when she's saying they're more progressive, what she actually means is they favoured females more. Yes. That's what progressive means to these people. right? Progressive is code word for female supremacy.
Actually, that's a very good insight, because
Yes.
if it favors the man, it's regressive.
Yes.
You know,
Or if
in
it's
their
equal,
minds.
but they call it, if it's equal, they'll still call it favoring the man, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
The women are held to the same standard as men. It is considered bad.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
So in the UK, the first 10 years doctrine was like passed in 1829 or something like that. There was two stages of it, the 10 years doctrine. There's the first stage, and there was a second stage in 1870s that expanded it to age 16, where on divorce, women got the kids, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we could put to bed to that lie that women had no rights in the past. It's a lie, right? What men and women had in the past was a different set of rights, because men had responsibilities, right? But women had all the protections. Okay, that's how it worked.
Yes.
So they try and frame it as, oh, women owned this property, women weren't allowed to divorce, you know, women were beaten by their husbands, all this crap.
Yeah, well, the thing is, that's why if you looked at actual history, that's why when women were fighting for the vote, for the free vote for themselves, there were other women that were against them because they were afraid they were going to be held to the same standards as the men.
Yes.
You know.
And also, I want to point out something as well. There's cases in the medieval era of knights allegedly raping women, right? Nobles raping women, and they were sentenced to death for raping peasant women, right? So this idea that this is the medieval era, okay?
Yes.
Knights getting sentenced to death for raping peasant women, okay? I'm sorry, the lie that society used to mistreat and abuse women is just that, a lie.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I think we're going a bit off into history here.
Exactly.
I think we've more or less covered this. This is like, I think we've proven that the concept of emotional labor is gaslighting.
Yeah.
And when feminists talk the truth, she talk the truth about the divorce statistics at the start, they'll still turn it into a lie at the end of the day.
Yes.
This is why talking to feminists, debating them, reading this stuff, it's just a complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. And if you read any of this stuff, you just read it and take note of their lies. That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's why you don't engage with them. I mean, in our Reddit, some guy came in at the PMC and tried to give the old, oh yeah, let's try and change their minds. We booted that guy out because we've had enough of that horse shit.
It's gaslighting. Because what they do, they'll keep on moving the goalposts. It's, oh, yeah, no, that's not true feminism. That's just pseudo feminism or the extremist feminists. No, that is all. And we'll give them countless examples. Like, I'm sorry, if it was extremist feminists, that feminist politician who called for a male-only code from the UK, all the other feminists will disown her. They didn't.
Yes,
they actually supported it. They protested on the street to support their stance. So that is all feminists are like that. Period.
Yeah,
period.
There was never, like you say, there was never one group of feminists or even women, as far as that goes, that came out in men's favor and said, we don't agree with this. Not a one.
If there's any women who don't agree with it, they don't feel that strongly about it, basically.
It just doesn't affect them.
Yeah, they might shrug their shoulders and go, that's a bit ridiculous. That's it. They're not going to do anything about it.
Yes.
And you've just done a video, you've uploaded it a few hours before we've just done this hangout.
Yes.
And it's feminists in the media just barefaced lying about something. This is misinformation. They're just barefaced lying about a case in Cyprus, right?
Yes.
They're just lying. It's just a barefaced lie. And this is malicious and it's done on purpose to misinform. And in my opinion, since it's the BBC paid by taxpayers' money, it's criminal. It's criminal.
Yeah, so, there should be jail time, and really, like I said, suggested, really, there should be a productive MRM when those young fellas in that. Well, I better not get onto that tangent, but the point is, BBC should be sued. There should be a true MRM that will back suing, these media sites, outlets that actually hold these lies.
They've got to push the government to outlaw feminists. Because again, this is feminists in a position of power in the media are spreading disinformation about a court case. Because this woman, they're trying to frame her as a victim. She had sex with underage boys. She elicited sex gangbangs from teenage boys. She got angry when one of them refused her. She falsely accused them, got the boys beaten up, right? She admitted to lying, and the BBC tried to portray it as a gang rape victim being bullied into recanting her testimony.
Yes,
right?
That's the way they tried to spin it. Exactly.
Yes. And even to this day, feminists are actually gang stalking these teenage boys. I'm not sure they're still teenagers. Some of them probably still are going to be teenagers because it was recent. Some of these boys are still getting gang stalked by feminists. And
well, they would, because it happened in 2019. That's only 3 years ago.
Some of them are still going to be, they're still going to be very young. These women go around with cards, waving them, right, calling them rapists. They're stalking them. They're stalking them, right? If a bunch of MRAs stalked a female criminal like that, they'll be arrested by the police for stalking and harassment, right? They're getting stalked. They're getting stalked. I linked you to an article about a feminist falsely accusing a man of being a rapist and a paedophile, and the man had to leave town, and she got a £130 fine for doing this.
Oh yeah, so, like the slap on the wrist are embarrassing, or not even that. A lot of times,
you know what? I'd rather the judge says, yeah, women at a higher caste, they've got more rights, they're above you. We don't prosecute women now. I'd rather they said that than pretend there's a legal system for women.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. It's gotten to that point. It's like, at least be honest. At least say it with your mouth. You know, cowards.
Yes.
I'm telling you, men are cowardly. I'm telling you. It's just okay.
I
now,
think we've gone off a bit of a tangent.
That's what I mean.
It's important, but I think we're done now.
Okay, sorry. We didn't mean to get off on that track. Because good thing this was a short video. Thank you, Mr. Green. As usual, it's been great. Goodbye, sir.